All right, so right now I have my biggest green day of 2024 in the books, locking it up, and my biggest single winning trade of 2024. My biggest single winning trade right now, a little over $7,000 in one trade. That's not bad. Now, it's certainly not my biggest trade ever, not by a long shot. But you know what? In a cold market, you got to take your wins when you get them, and this is definitely a win, so I'm going to lock it up and be grateful. I'm finishing the day up over $10,000. And you know what? That's a pretty big swing. That makes a big difference on the month. And you know what's funny is just this morning, someone said, Ross, it's cold. When was the last time you remember it being really hot? And I was like, well, I guess kind of like early December. And he's like, well, what are we going to do if this is the way it's going to be for a while? And I said, this is how it was for many years. I remember trading like this in 2013, 2014, 2015, where it was kind of slow. You'd have an occasional win. And I said, the key to success right now is going to be patience, waiting for those good opportunities to present, and then being aggressive when they happen. And I said, really, it's going to be that 1 or 2 days is going to make your month. And the thing that's really tough about that is that the luck of the draw, you're going to have a dentist appointment the morning that we have a huge move like we had today on SGMT. Or, you're going to, lose power. Like something's going to happen and you're going to miss it. And you have to be okay with that, but it is really frustrating. So there's this feeling for me that I have to show up every single day because I don't know which day is going to be the day. I had absolutely no reason to think today was going to be my best day of the year. Zero reason whatsoever. Based on last week, let's refer back to the scorecard of last week. Thursday was a 0 on a scale of 0 to 10. Friday was a 0 on a scale of 0 to 10. Wednesday, the gap scan was terrible, and I believe Wednesday was the day I finished down $6,000. So you know what? Today, at the end of the day, in the last 5 days, I'm up, let's see. Well, I was down 2,500 last week, so I'm up 7,500 in the last 5 days, if we go back to last Monday. Today does recoup the loss from last Wednesday, but you know what? Life is good. I'm in the green, back to the all-time highs in my account, and ready to look for the next trade. So let's get on the charts and start to break down these trades that I took today. Okay, so SGMT currently right now is sitting up 148, 150% on the day. It went higher. It went all the way up to a high of $20.71, which is impressive. So at its very peak, let's see, what was the high percentage-wise? At its very peak, right up here, it went up to 203% change from the close. 203% change. That's awesome. And it's a 572 times relative volume stock today. So high relative volume on that one. All right, so I started the day this morning. I looked at the scans on my phone, as I often do. I talk about this all the time. So I'm checking the scans on my phone, and the thing that I noticed this morning, I'll just refresh it so you can see. So the thing I noticed this morning when I pulled up the scans, I pulled them up kind of early, and let's see, when I first pulled them up, they looked kind of like this. Maybe it's hard to see, but the biggest gapper was like 20%. And I was just like, man, this is pathetic. That was at maybe 6:45 a.m. So I was like, I'm not rushing over to sit down in my chair and, I'm just not doing it. All right, so 7:15 comes, I check again, no change, nothing. So I end up getting over here at about 7:45, maybe 7:40. All right, so I get over here at about 7:45, and I see that our leading gapper is RVSN, and it's up 100%. And I'm like, what just happened in the last 15 minutes? And what happened was this thing came out with news, and it squeezed from like $1.36 all the way up to $3.28. Wow. And you know what? I missed the whole move. I've got no trades on it. So that just goes to show you that, it's hard. It's hard to be motivated to come and sit down when it's been slow. And, I had a no trade day on Friday, and I'm just like, what's the point? I'm tired. It's Monday morning. But anyways, I wasn't sitting down here at 7:30. And so I missed the breaking news headline that came out at 7:30, and I ended up missing this trade. Ends up going all the way up to $3. So when I sit down, it was right about here. So what time was this? 7:40. And someone was like, are you going to trade this? And I was like, nope, I'm not going to trade this. And they're like, why not? I was like, I missed it. I already missed the move. Let's be real. This was the move. When a stock goes up that much, that fast, a lot of times it's over. Now, I said the place I would be interested in trading this is if it can get back above 328. If it get back above the pre-market highs, game time. I'm interested. But in this area, I'm not going to trade it. And I saw a bunch of people who are like, I'm in and I'm out. I'm in, I'm out. Oh, I just got stopped out. Well, you're trading a stock that's just in this period of consolidation right here. This ultimately is consolidation. Now, one thing that I'll show you, someone was asking me about my 10-second chart. So I do have the 10-second charts. This was important. I felt that it was important to build them into the platform that we have built here, the Day Trade Dash software. But in reality, I'm not really using these charts that much because let's just be real for a second. Okay, so this thing goes from $1.36 up to a high of $2. So how would it have come to my attention? I would have seen it on the scanners, seen it on the Top Gainer High Day Momo scanner, and as soon as I see it, I type in the chart, and then the next thing I do immediately is I pull up the level 2. So I type in the level 2, and I'm looking at this. So this is where my 2 eyes are. And I'm like have one eye on the bid and one eye on the offer. I look like I look straight, but they're kind of like slightly like askew. So I'm just kidding. I mostly look at the offer. So I'm looking at this and I see it hit 220 and I'm like, okay. And I see it drop down, not looking at the chart, just looking at the price here. I see it drop down to $2 or what was the low here? Like 196. And then I see some green on the tape. And so then I probably punch it at like 110, thinking if it breaks 110, it's going to go back up to the high. And I'm in at like 115. And then it goes all the way up here to 3 or 215. It goes all the way up to 3. And then when I'm doing my recap later, someone's like, Ross, I don't really get it. Let's see if I can get this to reset. What time? Is that a 1 minute? Yeah, it's a 1 minute. So someone, while I'm watching the recap or while I'm doing the recap, someone will say in the comments, Ross, I don't understand why you bought right here. You just bought in the middle of a big green push. That's not a trade. I don't get it, And so for those people, I started using the 10-second chart. It specifically as a teaching tool to show, well, look, this was the pullback that I was visualizing, and I wasn't looking at it on the chart, but I saw it on the level 2. All right, so on RVSN, I just wanted to point that out because this did have a really nice example of that 10-second pullback right here on the level 2. All right, so anyways, kind of getting this lined up here. Okay, so that was right there on RVSN, but I didn't trade it. Now, I did take a trade in the small account today, which I'm not going to recap because I'll include that in my small account challenge recap. But I took a trade in the small account and I was red, and I was like, gosh darn it. So then SGMT comes up, and I was thinking about trading in the small account, but no leverage. I had no leverage in the small account on SGMT. So trading in the small account was not an option, unfortunately. I was hoping to get a trade on it, but it just, I just couldn't. I could only buy like 200 shares. So I was like, no, I'm not going to trade this. All right. So then I look at SGMT for the big account, and I noticed that SGMT was easy to borrow. Oh, we got the level 2 here. So let's see, SGMT. I noticed it was easy to borrow. Now, typically, easy to borrow stocks early in the move can be a little bit more of like a grind because the shorts it's easy to short against the against the stock, and longs tend to be a little bit more cautious. So initially it goes to 970, and then it whips all the way down to like $6, which is really terrible. That's so unattractive. Comes back up here and then it drops down. So there were a couple people who were like, hey, I'm watching this, over the high here, which was what, 870, and they were getting in around 8. And I was like, I don't really see it. Red candle here, plus it's easy to borrow. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. So, but, and ends up making this move. So, and I did end up trading it. So let's look at the trades. Okay, so on the 10-second chart, this is the way it happened. Actually, I'm going to use the 1 minute chart for this. So it's easier to see on the 1 minute. Okay, so on the 1 minute chart, it squeezes up here. I'll just make this a little bit bigger. So I watched it right in here. It goes up to like 850, a little bit of a topping tail there, as you can see. And then it pulls back, and then another topping tail right there. And then it pulls back, and then it kind of punches a little higher. And right here, it goes up to a high of 915, pulls back, and then it goes up to about 10. And I was like, this is going to be a reversal up here. I'm like pretty much sure of it. And there was I want to say a 25,000 share buyer on the bid at 960. And it punches up to about 990 just for a moment. Let's see, where was this? Man, even the 10-second chart, it's going to be hard to visualize what happened here. So maybe I'll have to sort of draw this for you, what happened. So I'm going to zoom in on this right here. Okay. So the candle comes up to 990, and then it dips down to 960. And there was a big buyer on the bid. And I was like, okay, this is probably going to be the reversal right here off the top. The big buyer is 20,000. It goes 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, and then it breaks and it flushes down here and it goes to a low of 948. And I was like, yep, I think this is over. And then surprisingly and shockingly, it looked like it was going to be a reversal. It looked, and if we look at the 1 minute chart on this, right in this spot right here, yeah, this was the 1 minute, sorry. At that moment, it looked for sure like pullback candle and then a red jackknife. Like it was like a top and then reverse back down. So it looked for sure like this was done. And then all of a sudden, it punches through 10. And I was like, whoa, okay, we're over $10. So then I was watching the bids at $10, and there were some nice bids at 10. And that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to get in this thing, manage my risk around $10. Stop is about $10 a share. So I got in as it started to pull away, and I don't remember exactly where I got filled. Let me look. So my first trade on this. So I got filled a little high. I got filled at 1041. That was my first position. 1041, as it was pulling away here, I added with a stop at 10, and I bought 1,500 shares. And then it goes over 1065 and 1075. And I was like, I'm going to add at 1065. I'm going to add 1075. I'm going to add 1085. And I'm going to add at 11. So basically, I kept adding as it was moving higher. And I moved my stop up to 1050. So now I had a profit stop, just about. So it ends up squeezing up here to a high of 1171, which was phenomenal. Over $1 a share. It pulls back, it pulls back, it pulls back. And then I add for the break of 1170. And look at this. We get this squeeze here right up to a high of 1320. I took my profit off the table right there, and this right in here was my biggest trade of the whole year, right in there. Now, we had some really nice volume on this too. High volume on the green candles. That's the volume profile we like to see. So everything was solid about that. And then it pulls back here, kind of does like a little false breakout up here. Can't remember if I traded that one. Ends up grinding a little bit higher here, and we sort of were right under 14. Right? We finally break through 14, and it did the same thing. It hits a high here, 1420, and then it drops down here to a low of 1372. And when it came back up, I was like, I'm getting in this at $14.15, $14.15, and boom, it pulls away here up to 15, and that put me up about, what am I at, 12,000 now? That probably put me up about 13,000 on the day. Then I gave back some profit on this candle, I gave back some profit on this candle, and I gave back some profit on this candle. So I had like 3 or 4 trades right in here that I lost on. And so I went from up 13,500 to up $12,106 right now. All right. So then it pulls back kind of here, high volume selling at the open. And I was like, all right, I'm going to switch my focus. Now, right now, I still only have one chart up at a time. So this is even though I could now connect 2 monitors, because I'm doing the small account challenge. So even though I'm trading my big account today and quite actively, I'm still using the same setup as my small account challenge, which is old laptop and 1 monitor. But I just unlocked the second monitor from getting 10,000 thumbs up. I just haven't connected it. So I switched my broken monitor out for the new one, and I'm still just on a 1 extra monitor setup. So anyways, all of that is to say that I switched my focus. I was like, this is pulling back here. I think it's a little too extended. So I switched my focus to BFRG and I stopped looking at SGMT entirely. BFRG was halted. I did a dip right here. It pops up to like 55 and then dumps here. And I stopped out with a $1,300 loss. I was like, God dang it, son of a gun. All right. So at that point, I said, you know what? I've got $10,800. I want to walk away while I'm still up over 10 grand. So essentially what I did today was I used a profit stop, which is a way of, if I kind of move this out of the way. So I guess I went red in the small account, but my first trade got myself up about 7,000 in the big account. So this was 7,000. And at that point, I wasn't really thinking about profit stop. I was just like, whoa, the market's really hot. Got myself up to about 10,000 and then got myself up to 12,000. And kind of around the 10, 12,000 mark, I had a little bit of churn. And then I got myself up to about 13,800. Then I had one loss, second loss, third loss, fourth loss, and then that loss on BFRG. And it brought me back to, 10,000 on the day. This isn't really probably to scale, but forgive me for that. And this is where I said, you know what? I'm just going to draw this is my stop, right? So initially I probably was thinking I'd like to make sure I walk away with at least 5 grand of profit. I don't want to give back more than half of the 7,000, probably not even more than 2,000 of it. And then once I'm up 10,000, it's kind of like, all right, I want to make sure I'm walking away with at least 7,500. And then once I'm up 13,000, it's like, I'd like to walk away with at least 10,000. So unfortunately today, I kind of gave back profit to this point where it's a profit stop and I'm kind of getting stopped out and have to walk away. One of the challenges for me is that, so that happened before SGMT ripped into the halt back up. So SGMT goes into the halt back up right here, and I had already just taken my max loss, and I pulled it up, and I was like, oh, it's halted. Well, I don't know, right? So it resumes higher. Could I have chased it? Yes, but I didn't have the risk tolerance to do that. So I didn't trade any of this move up here or this fade, obviously back down. I do have a little bit of FOMO using a profit stop because I'm like, well, today is the best day I've had of the entire year. If there was ever a day this year so far to dig deep, trade hard, and lean in, wouldn't today be that day? And the answer is yes. But I already kind of did that, right? And then I had 5 losses in a row. Granted, they were small, but I had 4 small losses on, SGMT and then that loss on BFGR. So, at a certain point, I also have to say, when do I walk away with the profit that I have? Yes, I want to squeeze as much as I can out of a hot day, but days don't stay hot starting at, 4 in the morning and go all the way till 8 p.m. At a certain point, things kind of cool down. So it's early. It's only 10:20. I feel like it's too early to be calling it a day. But at the same time, I also don't feel like if I was going to say, Ross, you can take a couple more trades, I'd be like, well, you can't risk more than like $500 on the next trade, and if I risk 500, how much of my profit target would be 1,000. So, that could put me up back to 11,800, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be able to, I don't feel like I'd be able to make a lot of profit with such a small amount of risk maybe. And I could also take an unexpected loss and just get emotional and press the buy button too many times. And the next thing you know, I'm down 2,000. I'm up only 8 grand on the day. Or I take a $5,000 loss. I'm up only 5 grand on the day. And now I'm still red versus my day last Wednesday. So, the thing is today recoups all of last Wednesday's loss and then some, but should I continue? Should I stay or should I go? Should I stay or should I go? That's just always the question with trading. And it's a hard one, even for someone like myself who's been trading for a long time. Because as I said, one of my goals this year was when it's hot, I want to lean in, push hard, and try to make as much as I can. And when it's cold, I just want to walk away as early as possible. So today's a hot day. Well, I mean, sort of, I guess so. We had a nice move on SGMT. DWAC also put in a nice move earlier, but I didn't want to trade that because this was literally the one that I lost $5,000 on last Wednesday. So I was like, I'm not going to touch this thing again. can't risk it. Spirit Airlines, Save, that was moving last week, but I didn't want to trade it because of headline risk. There was a partnership with Rumble and Barstool Sports, a little bit of a meme headline. Didn't really want to get into that. So I don't know. You can see how I'm kind of oscillating between, should I stay longer and keep watching, knowing I really only have about $800 of risk left, or do I walk away? It's currently 10:21. I took my last trade at 9:41. That was when I got stopped out on BFRG. So I haven't taken a trade in, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, coming up on an hour. Maybe what I'll do is I'll sit and watch until 11. And if there's been nothing that's looking good, then I'll call it a day. It's possible we get some afternoon moves. BFGR is kind of annoying. BFRG, sorry. BFRG is kind of annoying because I got stopped out of it and then it bounced off of about $6. And well, now you can see it's back up at 670, but it did that twice. First, it bounced off 6 here and goes up to about 7. And then look at this whipsaw. Chop, 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 chop. That's jackknife. It's terrible. Then it slowly rallying back up. So here's the thing, though. BFRG, I probably should have just left it alone. The volume is light compared to the previous days. It's sort of continuation. These ones are not easy usually. Day one is always cleaner. So we got day one on SGMT. Are we going to get day one on anything else? Probably not at this point in the day unless something has breaking news that comes out in the middle of the session, which is possible, but can't really count on that. So anyways, I think I'll take the $10,000 off the table. Even if I sit here for the next hour, I think it's very unlikely that anything pops up. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think we had a nice little flurry of momentum this morning, which is great. Hey, it's better that than nothing. Made some money on it. Didn't do as well as maybe I coulda, woulda, shoulda today, but $10,000 is really nothing to complain about. So that's my day here, and I'll be back at it first thing tomorrow morning. Thank you guys, by the way, who have subscribed to the channel for sure. Thank you who have hit the thumbs up on all of these episodes, especially for the small account series. I'm really excited that I'm opening up this new monitor here. This is going to really be nice for me. And I think we're only like 500 500 new subscribers away from me resetting my small account back to $1,000. So I wasn't expecting that I'd be resetting this soon, but I said once we get 10,000 new subscribers to the channel, I would reset the account back to $1,000 so you guys could watch me grow it live from 1,000, just kind of do it again, keep it interesting, keep it exciting. But I would get to keep the inventory that you helped me unlock. So now I've gone from 1 external monitor to 2. One is still broken, but halfway good. All right. So thanks as always for tuning in. I'll remind you that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, and there's no guarantee you'll find success whether you trade with me or you learn on your own. So manage your risk, take it slow, and I'll see you back here first thing tomorrow morning. I'll be live streaming for members at Warrior Trading bright and early. All right. See you then.